Story time.
Good morning, everyone. It is story time, and I was coming to y'all with a little bit of a question and kind of like really just trying to get an understanding, all in the middle of me trying to make some breakfast for the pups. But so I have a question. I'm one of those people that firmly believe you should leave people either where they were when you met them, right? Emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially, or better than they were when you met them, right? They shouldn't be worse. Like, people shouldn't be declining and falling off the map and their life is ruined, if that makes sense. And I'll explain it to you. A friend of mine a while back met a guy, and they're dating. She has her own place and he was living with roommates, right? And young people typically doing the thing in relationships, going along the way. At some point they decide that they want to live together. Mind you, she has an apartment already, so she's not going to move into his house. So she decides, well, you can move in with me, and when the lease is over we can get a new place. So as their relationship is going, right, things are going great. They're dating, they're getting to know each other, they're living their best life, and things are good. I personally feel like, again, like a lot of relationships, when you first meet, right, those first initial months, it's the honeymoon phase. You're being your best version. You want to do all the things to, make sure the relationship is working, at least in a lot of cases. Generally, people don't just mess up right away, right? You're on your best behavior. So anyhow, things are progressing, and she's like all happy in love, and like they're doing coupley stuff and the whole nine. Well, as time goes on, they're getting more and more comfortable together. And again, when he moved there, he had like his stuff from his room, PS5 clothes and like anything that he had acquired on his own, living in this whole roommate situation. So, he didn't have a whole lot, but like he had a good job, and seemed to be a good dude, and like seemed like he didn't like to hang out in the streets and that sort of stuff. So she was like, okay, this seems like it's going in the right direction. So as time goes by, of course, he starts getting more comfortable and playing his game, and she's noticing it's getting later and later, or he's up all time of the night. And she was like, not that you have to go to bed when I go to bed, but sometimes you're up gaming till 2, 3 in the morning, and then you have to get up and go to work. And like, when I come home, you're on that thing, even doing like simple chores around the house. Like, I just need your help around the house more. So he makes an effort after a little bit of discussion, like, oh, okay, I'm going to do better. Times go by. She thinks things are fine. So they're, again, living together, sharing life, just kind of doing stuff, splitting bills, which that's a whole nother situation. Because again, she was paying her bills before he moved there. Why you would need to split bills? Anyway, to each his own, right? Everybody ain't able, and they got their own situation. Not my business. I'm from a different era, and honey, I might split a piece of pie with you. Okay, that's a different story. That's not this video. So anyhow, their lease is ending, and they decide, you know what, we really do need more space. I like entertaining. I have a lot of friends. You have family. We should upgrade. Mind you, both people got good jobs. They kind of doing their thing, living their best life. So she had $1,000 apartment, 1 bedroom. He wants to upgrade to a 2 bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse, the whole nine. The rent goes from $1,000 a month to $2,800 a month. That's a mortgage. Anyway, they're not ready for house and marriage and all that, but they plan house. Important factor. So she's like, okay, well, this is what you want. It's mutually located. We can kind of, she got a little bit of what she wanted for space, vaulted ceilings and the whole this, that, and the third. He got what he wanted, gym, clubhouse, plenty of space, pool, garage, the whole nine. They just living their best life, paying all this money for an apartment. Anyway, to each his own. Do what you need to do. So, she put all her furniture in there, and then they kind of just got stuff a little bit here and there to kind of fill up the place. And, story goes on. They're kind of living their best life, working and doing stuff they need to do. He is, gaming as usual, getting back worse. And so now the extra room is an office slash his little game room. So he's moved out of the living room from gaming all time of the night. Except sometimes he still does it, right? If his friends come over, then it's more space, and the TV's bigger. So anyway, remember I told you he got rid of her TV. She had like a little small 47-inch TV. If I didn't mention it, I'm telling you now. When he met her and moved in, she had a 47-inch TV in the living room. She had no other TVs in her little one-bedroom apartment because, again, she was pretty much just starting out, and that's all she bought. She works a lot, and, I don't know too many women that's going to go out and buy a 60, 70-inch TV. Like, not really. Maybe. I don't know. That's a lot of TV. But anyhow, so she was like, okay, well, honey, get what you want, be comfortable, blah, blah, blah. What she didn't know was that her house was going to turn into the new frat house from all the roommates and, hangout buddies, that this was going to be their thing. They either coming over playing cards and hanging out, or they're just sitting there gaming. And when they're not over there, they're on this PS5 gaming all night or online gambling or whatever it is that guys are doing, right? And so the time is getting less and less. And according to him, he does this to de-stress, right? He has a very stressful job, and now with all these extra added responsibilities, he just needs time to de-stress. And she was like, that's fine. But when you spend hours on end and barely break to eat, or you're staying up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and every day this is your routine, instead of us getting up on Saturday and trying to do stuff together, I'm left to do all the chores, or you're either gone out playing basketball with your friends, and then when you do come home, you back on this gaming thing till all time of the night, or you're just not home. So she's starting to feel a little neglected, like this really isn't working. And the more she tried to talk to him about it, he starts resenting these conversations, like, well, I'm providing, you have this nice place, we're doing all this stuff together. And she was like, yes, we're sharing a place together, but like the relationship is suffering because you're not really here. Like you're doing all these other things. Nevertheless, the more time goes by, and she gets curious and starts snooping through his phone. Like, I just can't see a guy being that much into guys and gaming to where, like, this is his whole life now. So, of course, she goes snooping long enough. She started finding pictures and texts of things that he was doing and saying with other women. And, she tried to ask him about it, and he would play it off like, oh, no, nothing's happening. We're just friends and this, that, and the third. And, of course, she found some inappropriate stuff. They're trying to work it out. Okay, fine, whatever. She's trying to trust the process that, like, he's going to get his act together and he don't want to lose the relationship, whatever. Nevertheless, come to find out, of course he cheated. So she's like, that's it. I'm good. I'm done. Like, we have to do something else. We need to, like, pay to break the lease, or, something's got to happen. Like, this isn't working. So he decides, well, if you want, I can move out. First of all, why would you move out and leave her with the lease that's almost $3,000, but she can't pay for it because you got caught cheating? If anything, y'all need to figure out how to mutually come up with that too much rent to break the lease. Nevertheless, he decides, okay, we're moving out. So there was no real discussion about who's going to get to take what. Again, he replaced the TV with this massive thing. He also replaced her bed because, he's one of those that's very much into the purple beds and blacks and greens or whatever the colors are, right? So she was like, okay, fine, whatever. So those are the two major things that he replaced in the house. Why he said, well, I'm taking the TV and the bed. You can have the bedroom furniture because that was yours anyway, but I'm taking the TV and the bed. So she says, okay, well, fine. I'll just try to, pare down and get me a smaller apartment that I can afford on my own. She said, but would you mind getting me a TV? Here's one that I found at Walmart for like $199. Like, I'm not really home that much. I just want some sort of TV, and this is kind of like the one I had when you met me. That motherfucker said, why would I buy you a TV? So she called me all upset. Like, am I being unreasonable? Like, that's what I had when you met me, and you decided to upgrade our TV. Excuse me for the interruption with the text message. And you decided to upgrade the TV as well as my bed, but you're leaving and going to take the two major things that you replaced and now I don't have? That just seemed really petty to me. I'm like, dude, it's not like you can't afford the $199 TV. She's not asking you to go buy her a new Mercedes. I don't really understand that. Does that make sense? Make it make sense. When you leave somebody, they shouldn't be worse off than when you met them. Make them whole. Is it me? Is my age showing? Is this just something that 50-year-olds do and older? I don't get it. Let me know.